Hello, fight fans. Welcome to episode number 329 of the Neutral Corner Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Michael Montero, proudly rocking the Kronk today. That's right, baby. We're going to have some guys from the Kronk team with us here on the show. And then, of course, we're going to preview the big fight this weekend, right? I'm calling it the rubber match. I don't give a damn what Nevada Commission has to say or the promotion. It's the rubber match between Canelo Alvarez and Gennadiy Golovkin. Triple G won that first fight. So we're calling it the rubber match here on this show. But we'll get to that. First, I want to get on the team from Cronk Boxing. I've been telling you guys the last few weeks, I'm actually going up to Detroit this week to do some ringside commentary for an amateur show that they're having up there at Cronk. It's called Cronk vs. Everybody, and it's featuring youth amateur boxing. These kids are going to be the future of the Cronk amateur boxing program. Those of you who subscribe to the Ring Magazine, you saw my article a few months back, just showing the new developments at Cronk, right? Sylvia Stewart-Williams, Emmanuel Stewart's daughter, was running Cronk, and then Jeff Stiers, former pro boxer there in Detroit, he had his own youth development program going at his own gym. The two of them partnered up, and it's basically, they're calling it, it's still Cronk. Some people are calling it the new Cronk, but it's Cronk. And the youth development program, ESCOT, is in full swing. And this amateur boxing program and the gear, which I've showed you guys where you can get this stuff, helps fund that program, which is awesome because it's helping these kids get in the classroom and learn how to do all those things before they even get into the boxing ring. So we'll talk about that stuff. Any of my peeps up in Detroit this week, you guys want to do a meetup or something like that, maybe Friday night, let me know. We'll talk about that on social media. My cousin works at the Comerica Stadium, so I'll be there at the Tigers game Sunday to watch the Tigers lose. I kid. They might win, but we'll be there Sunday. So any of you guys go into the game, we'll check that out. Real quick, before I get the guys on here, I want to show you guys Roots of Fight. They've been partnering with Kronk too. And they just released a Thomas Hearns line. So let me show you guys this real quick. Go to Roots of Fight site. Check this stuff out, man. I got to get this hoodie. This hoodie is dope. Let me see if I can get the back of this hoodie. These are the sweats. I love that right there. You got the Kronk on there, Pain and Fame Detroit, Hearns, Hitman. Those are the pants, but there's the hoodie. This hoodie's dope. I gotta cop this. I gotta get one of these. That's dope. Come on. So you guys check that out, Roots of Fight. Okay, let me bring on our guests real quick. So we're going to bring on John Lepak, who is the Kronk business manager, and Jeff Stiers, who's Kronk partner, along with Sylvia Stewart-Williams, who she might be able to join. I'm not sure. I know she had a meeting I think she was running late from. But guys, thank you so much for being on the show. And looking forward to hanging out this weekend, meeting you guys in person. And I hope that I could get a workout in at the gym. That's my thing. Maybe Saturday morning. Is that possible?
I think we can make that work.
Yeah. Who's going to do mitts with me? Is there anyone there?
We'll have Milton McCrory, who's one of our lead trainers. Obviously, former world champ Milton McCrory can work with you, or Erskine Wade, our lead trainer.
Dude, that would be great. That would be great because I was hoping to fight on this card Saturday and we just couldn't find the opponent, but it's all good. I'm staying in the gym. We'll get on the next one. But let's talk about this card. Kronk versus Everybody. It's in Westland. And I know that eventually it's going to air on the WBC Live Channel. I don't know if it's going to air that night, but it might be tape delay and it might be broadcast a day or two later. But John, you have a lot of experience, of course, going back with Kronk. Most of it was pro boxing. This is the amateurs. And you and I have talked multiple times over the last couple of months. I know there's been a lot of headaches. Just talk about the experience, man, putting this thing together.
You know, I'll start out, Mike, how we talked about in our interview for Ring Magazine. And first, let me say thanks for having us on and all your support. It's greatly appreciated. But I swore never, ever, never to return to the sport or business of boxing. And thanks to the gentleman right there, Mr. Jeff Stiers, we've proved never say never to come true. So it's been interesting for me, Mike. It's a lot like I think a fighter experiences when you're getting back in the ring after a long time. There's a lot of ring rust. You know, it's getting used to doing things that you haven't done in a long time. But at the end of the day, it's like riding a bike.
You never forget, right? No training wheels necessary.
No,
Well,
I took those off a long time ago.
Jeff, I know that the youth development program is really, really important to you. And of course, you had established that at your gym there in Westland before you and Sylvia partnered up. Could you talk about that a little bit? Maybe some things going on with the program and where you want to take it going into the future.
Sure, sure. I echo John's sentiments too. Thank you for having us on and the support. Yeah, like John, I swore never to be back involved in the game again, but was lured back like all of us. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to create a boxing gym. So I think there's awesome life lessons gleaned from boxing, whether it be amateur or pro. But I wanted to be more than that. I wanted to be about life lessons and tutoring and academic excellence and mentoring, because most of our kids come from an at-risk background, and how boxing and the life lessons might help them combine with other programming to make, change their life trajectory, for the better. And so that's always been important to me. I met Sylvia and Marie at Emmanuel's funeral 10 years ago, and we started a friendship. And Marie Stewart, Emmanuel's widow, used to tell me all the time we should partner. And I never knew what that meant, because I obviously knew of the Kronk Gym, having fought their guys as amateur, but we had our own gym going. And we stayed in touch, and Marie, Sylvia, and I would meet every Saturday morning, and we would talk about, what is God's will for this? I mean, is it to combine partnerships or not? And, Kronk is one of those names, it's iconic in the sport, right? So with that comes the wolves, right? So a lot of people were contacting the stewards about, wanting to monetize the Kronk name and how they could leverage it. But I think what was missing was a true commitment to Emmanuel's legacy and the Kronk way. And it's funny you mentioned that. A lot of people are referring to us as the new Kronk, because that couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, when I bought Kronk a year ago, I said, first, we're going to go back circa 1982. I want everything to be like 1982, including our colors, the gold trunks with the red and blue stripe, the tank top that the amateurs are wearing. I want to go back to that time. And I'm not trying to recreate or capture lightning in a bottle. I simply want to restore Kronk back to its glories days. And I know that we can't do that. I think, Tommy and Hilmer and Jimmy Paul and Milton McCrory and the McCrory brothers, that was once in a lifetime. But I do think we can take that magic and make it even a little bit more special by the youth development component we're adding to this. And my goal is that, going forward, that we will have an open class fighter in every weight division in every Golden Gloves tournament. That Kronk, when you see an opponent across the ring wearing red and gold, it does mean something. That is our goal on the boxing level.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, John, you're in the classroom right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Escott classroom.
Right there.
You can see we're getting ready to welcome the kids back to our new season here. School's just kicking off in Detroit, so we start up this coming Monday.
How cool is that? And Jeff, you talked about the trunks, the iconic trunks. You guys just had a deal with Title Boxing, and they're going to supply the team with the trunks, the gear, but it's also the gym, right? Are they supplying like the bags and the mitts and all that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, they have the equipment, and it's really cool. When you're in town on Friday, Mike, you'll see in one of the offices we have a clothes rack with all the gold trunks and all the gold jerseys, and there's probably 30 of them lined up, and it is 1982 again at Kronk. And so in the gym, we've taken a lot of time and effort to make sure that we you won't know the difference whether you're at McGraw and Junction, the original Kronk Gym, or this edition of the gym, but it looks like the original Kronk Gym, and it's half museum and half boxing gym. That's so cool. And I know for the kids, that's got to be so exciting to like walk in there and see their trunks, see their gear, like that's so important for the psyche and for the confidence. I don't know another gym in the world that can boast 43 world champions. And I think Kronk probably has that record, but yeah, our kids are certainly fortunate to grow up in such rich history of the game.
Awesome.
I'll say something, Mike, if I may. It's you two have a little something else in common that ties in with those colors. Which one of you gentlemen would like to tell that little story? Mr. Stiers?
So I fought for the All-Marine boxing team. I'm a former U.S. Marine, as well as Mike is as well. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I always, on the boxing team, we're obviously red and gold, or the Marine Corps colors. Two things happened at the point that we solidified this deal for me to be a majority owner of Kronk going forward. The first was the colors. And I learned at signing that the reason that they're red and gold is Emmanuel had such a reverence for the United States Marine Corps, which makes it very personal for me that those red and gold colors that I've known my whole life, were to mirror the Marine Corps. Very special. The second thing, prior to doing this partnership, when we were in Norwayne Boxing Gym, our tagline was, "We're making champions in life, both in and out of the ring." And then only then did I find at the signing that Escott, which has been synonymous with Kronk for years. In fact, Emmanuel Stewart wrote me a letter in January of '84.
I remember this story.
About joining the Kronk gym. It was on Escott letterhead. And I knew that Escott was Kronk, but I didn't know what Escott stood for, only to find out that it stood for Emmanuel Stewart's Champions of Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So when it came time for this partnership, it was kind of a no-brainer to make our youth development Escott to kind of carry that on.
I think that's so great. I can't wait to, as much as, I'm excited to check out the gym and all of that, get a workout in. I want to see the classroom. I want to see the kids. I want to see the program, because I've heard so much about it. I've talked to you guys about it before. I just want to see it in action. I think it's so important that we have things like that for our young people, because so many of them are falling behind. And it's great to get them in the ring boxing, which is that other component, because let's face it, 95% of these kids are not going to box past the amateur level, probably 99%, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's cool to see them really embrace the program, both sides of it, right? So we have 2/3 of our kids are there for the camaraderie and the programming side. They'll never enter inside the ropes, and that's fine. The other third probably don't want to go to the classroom. They just want to work out and be inside those ropes. Right. We have a program every summer in partnership with the University of Michigan where we teach something called math course. It's alternative math to at-risk kids. And so from June until August, we have about 40 kids in the gym every day that are learning math, as well as, life skills and some boxing. But it was really cool last year to see one of our senior kids on the boxing side want to be involved and actually be a camp leader and helping the younger kids academically, when before academics wasn't his thing. So it's good to see that cross-pollination of both sides. Because let's face it, even if they do turn pro, they're going to need that education in their background.
Absolutely.
Both during their career and especially after their career, because they're so short.
Yeah, that's one thing that I made sure to include in my piece in Ring earlier in the year. Emmanuel Stewart had so many fighters that went on to be successful in business or real estate, other endeavors after their fighting career. And that's something that the media doesn't really talk about. They talk about the great champions because, that's fun, that's interesting, but it's life after boxing. Whether it's you have 2 amateur fights or you're a pro and you're a champion, you're going to have most of your life is going to be outside the ring. So the skills that you're teaching these kids are so important. And then I love the community work too, because every weekend they're working out in the community, right?
Yeah, every Saturday they have to be involved in giving back. Our philosophy is you're never too poor to give back. So whether it's donating time at the soup kitchen or cutting grass or shoveling snow for senior citizens in the neighborhood, we want them to be involved in their community. And we just think that will resonate as they get older, about having, ownership and pride in where they live and helping out and helping others. We hope that philosophy stays with them throughout their life.
Yeah, it's so important. Well, let's talk about the card this Saturday. It's from 4 to 7, right? You guys have all your matches made yet, or is there last minute changes? I know there's always like a last minute pull out. What's the deal, John?
You see these bags under my eyes, Mike? I told Jeff today in our meeting, I said, my God, I haven't worked this hard since Tyson Lewis. I told Mike's godfather to 2 of his kids today. We were on the phone. I said, Daryl, it might as well be a Tyson fight, honestly. But kidding and seriousness aside, the card's coming together really good. As Jeff said, it's our goal to eventually, build that team back up to where you have a lot of kids in the open classes that eventually will turn pro down the road. We've got right now 10 solid fights on the board. Hopefully we can match the last 2 tonight, which would bring us up to 12.
Great.
And we're going against a few other local gyms where there's some Kronk tie-ins, which is pretty nice. We have K9 Cornelius Bundridge, the last Kronk fighter to actually wear the Kronk trunks in a world championship fight, along with Tony Harrison, I believe, has a couple guys on the card. So we're excited to have, everybody in Detroit come together, because as I was taught years ago by Bill Kazurski when we used to do the Fight Night at the Palace series, is that you keep an open door policy. And this isn't just about, Kronk and necessarily, Kronk versus everyone. It sounds nice, but, I want to make it clear we have an open door policy. If we can help any of the other gyms and get their fighters some exposure, that's what we're here for.
I wish we had more of that in boxing, because I see way too often people just want to push each other out and not work together. So the fact that you guys got some of K9's kids on there, some of Tony's kids on there, that's awesome, man. It's more like Detroit versus everybody.
Exactly.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, I'll be up there Friday morning. We're doing like the early 6 a.m. flight, so I'll probably have bags under my eyes like that. But I'll see you Friday, and I look forward to it, man. I can't wait to do this. And then this is just the first of many, right? I know you guys are planning. Before I let you go, I just want to talk a little bit about plans for next year, because you want to keep doing the amateur stuff, of course, but you also want to start doing pro cards again, correct?
Absolutely. So I mean, it's about it's about flirting with the boundaries of where Kronk can go. Kronk had its heyday, and then let's face it, after Emmanuel's death, there was kind of a lull, a 10-year lull. Our goal is to brush off the dust, and with John's help, and John has been just so instrumental in the program. I can't imagine where we'd be without him. So all of this is due to his efforts and his commitment and passion to the program. But, we just want to flirt with the boundaries of where we can go, both as a brand and as a gym. And there's nothing that's not on the table. It's funny that Kronk still resonates. So many people from across the world are contacting us about partnering in different initiatives and ideas and endeavors. And we're certainly open to all of them. The one guiding star, though, is we have to remain true to what Kronk's vision was per Emmanuel Stewart and the Stewart family, for that matter. So that is kind of our guiding star. And along with that, and even more important, is, are we helping the youth along the way? So this isn't about monetizing Kronk. This isn't about leveraging Kronk. It's about how can we use Kronk for good, both for the stakeholders of Kronk, as well as, and more importantly, the youth that go along with it.
That's such a great point. And I want to add to that, because there are a lot of Kronk counterfeit clothing outfits out there. They're monetizing the Kronk name. You guys, everything that you do is to fund the youth development program and keep the gym going for the kids. And I think that's something that gets lost on a lot of people, because you guys probably could just do social media blitzes and market the hell out of Kronk gear and make a ton of money, because it does resonate and it's hip. It's cool. You get a couple rappers wearing it or something, you guys could make millions. But that's not what you're doing. You're keeping it local in Detroit, and you're working directly with the kids. I think that is so freaking awesome. And I can't wait to get up there and meet you guys in person and meet the kids. It's going to be great. You guys can meet my very pregnant wife. She's starting to do the penguin walk a little bit. So you guys can meet her.
I hope she's not mad at me, Mike, after all these delays.
Oh, she was mad a little. She was mad for a little while, Josh. She's over it now. She's like, "Are you gonna fight or not? What's going on, Mike? Are you gonna fight or not?" Like, baby, this is boxing, especially the amateurs. You get pullouts all the time, and she's used to it, man. I still want to get that one pro fight though, so we'll talk. We'll talk.
The John Lee path.
Yeah.
One and done. Retire undefeated.
Hey, works for me, man. I'm about to have my first baby, so. That will be my focus going forward. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being on. And like I said, I'll see you in a few days. I look forward to it, and it's going to be great.
Excellent.
Thanks for having us, Mike. Thanks,
have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. That was awesome. You guys see the passion in those gentlemen, right? And it really is truly about the kids there in the community. And that's why I'm such a big supporter and a believer. Of course, Kronk is iconic with boxing, and me being from Detroit, growing up in that area, it's a pride thing, right? Of course. But learning about the youth development program, which admittedly I did not know a lot about as a kid, as a younger person, and I learned about it, you know, from Jeff, from Sylvia, from John, and that is what's really impressed me the most, and that's what makes me so proud just to be a small little part of this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And guys, when I get you the information about the broadcast, so we were originally going to go live, but I think there was some concerns about going up head to head against Canelo-Golovkin, which you can kind of understand. So I think we're going to record it, and then the WBC Live Channel is going to air the broadcast later on. I think it'll either be Sunday or Monday. I'll of course let you guys know so you can check it out. Check out these kids and what they do. All right, so we got a loaded show, so we should get on to this. Before I do that, we got a bunch of super chats I want to catch up on. Aaron with the super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, yo, Mike, random question, but what the hell happened between Jeff Mayweather and Devin Haney's dad? That email is insane. I don't know. You guys got to let me know. What happened there? I honestly have no idea, bro. Can you guys update me on this? Because I'm not sure. Let me try to Google it. Let's see. Jeff Mayweather, Devin Haney. Well, Jeff Mayweather, Bill Haney. Let's see what comes up. Oh, we got something here. Boxing exclusive. Bill Haney responds to Jeff Mayweather. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I guess they're beefing. I don't know. You guys will have to clue me in on what's going on with that. I don't know. George says, get some buddies. Oh, hell yeah. We're going to Buddy's Pizza while we're up there. My wife will love that. But we always hit Buddy's up when we go there, and we hit the original on 6 and Conant. We don't go to all those other ones. We go to the original. That's where we'll be. Let's see. I want to make sure I catch all these. Sarah with the super chat. Thank you so much, Sarah. She says, we need to bring back old-time boxing from way back. Yes. And I know that's what they're trying to do up there. It starts with the amateurs. It starts with the kids. You get them in the gym, get them comfortable fighting, and then you build from there. So I'm excited, man. I mean, the things that they're working on there at Kronk, I think it's going to take time. These things take time. But 10 years down the road, you're going to start seeing a lot of good things happening from all the little seeds that are being planted right now. Okay, so that was it. There's 2 super chats. We can move on. Okay, guys, news and notes. There's really only one item, and I talked about this on my Friday show, so I'm not going to spend forever talking about it here. But the all-female fight card that was supposed to take place last weekend in London has been pushed back to October 15th. So October 15th will be a loaded day in boxing. You're going to have Haney Kambosos, the rematch in Australia, and I think Melbourne in Australia. And then in London, Shields Marshall, Mayor Baumgartner, which I still like that card. And then in Brooklyn, New York, Deontay Wilder, Robert Helenius. So, you know, the thing is, on the surface, you guys might think, oh, I got to choose between which fight I'm going to watch live. Well, they're all in 3 completely different time zones. One's on the way on the other side of the world. One's right in the middle. Then the other one's here in America. So I think you probably could watch all of them live. It's just going to be one of those days where it's just a boxing day, right? For everybody. The only thing is some of these events are pay-per-view in different parts of the world, right? If you're in Australia, you got pay-per-view. If you're in the UK, you got a pay-per-view. If you're in the United States, you got a pay-per-view. So it might be more beneficial to watch the international fights that day. Okay. That's it for news and notes. I know a lot of you guys just want to get right to the big fight, and then we'll start. OJ22. 6 Mile Conant Bunnies is that deal. Yes, dude. That's the one we hit up, the original. That's the one, you know, you went to as a kid, and you have those memories going with, you know, grandma and grandpa and all that kind of stuff, or hitting up a Tigers game, old Tiger Stadium, and then you either eat at Greektown or you go up to Buddy's afterwards. You got to keep that tradition going, man. So, by the way, again, any of my Detroit peeps watching this, if you want to do a meetup, maybe Friday night, we'll meet up and grab a beer or something like that. Since I ain't fighting, I can have a beer or two. Okay, review. There's nothing to review, nothing major. There were a few fights here and there, but no major events. Let's get right to the preview, guys, because I know that's why all of you are here. If you want to get in the phones, jump on. Aaron in the chat says, we're all awaiting Jack Alter's call, Mike. Yeah, I'm sure Jack is probably first on the list. Yes, he is. Jack is first on the list. So as soon as we go to the phones, we'll pick up Jack's call. I know Jack is very, very, very excited. All right, let me review this, okay? And then we'll start taking these calls. Saturday, September 17th, Matchroom Boxing, DAZN pay-per-view in association with Canelo, his promotion, Golovkin's promotion, and all that good stuff. At the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, it is what I'm calling the rubber match between Gennadiy Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is 57-2-2, 32 years old. Golovkin is 42-1-1, 40 years old. This fight is for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. It will be the first defense, actually, of Canelo's undisputed championship. Now, he's got title defenses at super middleweight as he's collected the belts. But the undisputed championship that he won when he beat Caleb Plant, when he knocked him out, this will be the first defense of that undisputed championship. Keep in mind, Golovkin is a unified title holder at middleweight, so those belts are not on the line. So win, lose, or draw, whatever happens, Golovkin will also have those belts, and he'll have some decisions to make depending on what happens this Saturday night. We have a super chat from Mark Ashley. Thank you so much, Mark. He says, Triple G looked okay versus Murata, more vulnerable to body shots. Canelo is the favorite. Triple G deserves this, in my opinion, my honest opinion, sadly. His age is showing, should have happened sooner. Yeah, true that. That's another thing, you know, first fight was in 2017. Rematch was in 2018. The third fight should have been 2019. Didn't happen. Now, why didn't it happen? There's a lot of speculation as to why. I think if you do the math and just look at the way Canelo has kind of conducted his career, this isn't an anti-Canelo thread or anything here that I'm about to start, but it seems that him and his team, they waited Triple G out the first time. I think they knew that they were very lucky to escape with a decision, a draw and a decision win in those two fights, and they played the waiting game some more. And they were able to justify doing that by going on this 168 run. 168, one of the weaker divisions in boxing in recent years. And the top challenger was David Benavidez, but he lost his belt because he did a little too much of the white girl in between fights and got busted. And so those belts were up for grabs. They were picked up by solid fighters, good fighters, but nobody near the level of Gennadiy Golovkin, obviously, or Dmitry Bivol, or even David Benavidez, right? Even though Benavidez's resume is pretty weak, pretty poor, on paper, you know, the eye test, he looks better than the likes of Caleb Plant and Callum Smith and those guys. So Canelo went on this little run, and we'll talk about, you know, that a little bit. And then Golovkin's kind of been chilling. Now, does that help him? Does it hurt him? Let's get into some of that, man. First of all, let's talk about the rivalry of this fight, of these two, I should say, these three fights. My man Steve Kim put out an article today talking about rivalries and how they're like a dying part of boxing. And it's very, very true. The last generation of fighters, the Mayweather-Pacquiao generation, there was kind of a bait and switch there. Pacquiao had several rivalries that he gave us. Mayweather had none, right? His greatest rivalry was with Pacquiao. And most of the fighting in that rivalry took place among the fan bases on social media and factions of the boxing media itself. And finally, when it happened, it was years past its due date, and it was a complete dud that still continues to hurt the sport. It raised the stakes in terms of dollars made, but in terms of branding and building fans, it actually hurt the sport. The fight was made fun of on Saturday Night Live the following week. The people at Saturday Night Live have no idea about boxing, but they made fun of the fight. Okay, that tells you how damaging it was. So that was the last great bait and switch, right, by that generation, and particularly Mayweather and Heyman and the way that they conduct business. Not to make this an anti-Mayweather thread that I'm about to start. It's not anything like that. It's just the truth about the business and the way it's conducted now. So if it were the 1980s, Floyd and Manny probably would have fought 3 or 4 times, right? We have evidence because I can point back to rivalries we actually had in the 80s and the 90s, and you saw these guys fight over and over. And now it seems the play is to build things up as much as you can, manipulate the fans as much as you can, and then cash out like you're going out of business. As Dana White said, a lot of boxing promotions feel like a going out of business sale. And that was a very smart, it might be the smartest thing Dana White's ever said, at least in relation to boxing, because 99% about what he says about boxing is absolute idiocy, but he nailed it with that one. He really did. So in this day and age, you've had a couple of rivalries. A couple of you guys brought up Chocolatito Estrada. Great 2 fights, but they were almost a decade apart, okay? First fight was in 2012, and then the second fight was last year, 2021? You're going to get the third fight in 2022. That's great. But the 3 fights were spaced out over a decade. So it is a rivalry, but those guys don't hate each other. Their fan bases don't hate each other. Those 3 fights are kind of fights that all boxing diehards love. There's really no argument. You might argue about who you thought won, and maybe you didn't agree with the decision or something like that. But pretty much everybody wins, right? When I think of rivalries, I think of fighters that don't like each other. Their fan bases don't like each other. The media is divided 50-50 on it. And biggest thing, it breaks through. It trends, especially in the modern era of boxing, right? Casual fans are talking about it. The non-boxing mainstream media is talking about it. And so when you look at it that way, I don't think Chocolatito Estrada qualifies. Great rivalry, great fights, but I don't think it qualifies. In the modern era, after the Manny and Floyd debacle, there's 2 rivalries that stand out, okay? At heavyweight, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. 3-fight series. The first fight wasn't that great, but it did have some dramatic moments. The second fight and the third fight had a lot of dramatic moments between them, right? And there was so much animosity and anger and hatred from Deontay Wilder's side and his fans and his protectors in the American boxing media, his protectors in the BWAA and organizations like that. They came with so much vitriol and anger, and it became something bigger than boxing for them, that it made for a very dramatic environment and feel. But if you actually look at those 3 fights, I can't remember exactly how many rounds were between them. I don't know, 28, 29 rounds, something like that. Wilder won 2 rounds in the first fight, 0 in the second fight, and maybe 2 or 3 rounds in the third fight. So out of 28, almost 30 rounds, Tyson Fury won well over 20 of them, 20, 25 of the rounds. It was extremely one-sided. After the third fight between those 2, it came on last night. I can't remember what channel. I was flipping through the channels and I saw it on, so I checked it out. And I was amazed at the commentary from the 6th round on. And I like the guys on that commentary team. They're nice guys and they love boxing. But like Brian Kenny, Andre Ward, Lennox Lewis, but particularly Brian Kenny, was trying to convince the audience that they were seeing this great 2-way battle and that Wilder was landing these hellacious shots that were rocking Tyson Fury. And the truth is, from the 6th through 11th round, that was completely one-sided and an absolute beatdown. And Deontay Wilder showed tremendous heart, but Tyson Fury, if he was a bigger puncher, a more explosive puncher, and he wasn't so sloppy, and he wasn't 100% in that fight. He was nowhere near as healthy as he was for the second fight, as he was the third fight. He just wasn't as healthy. But had he been a little sharper that night, Wilder was ready to go after the 6th round. It just lingered. And props to Wilder for showing a lot of heart and for his corner for letting him get brain damage and refusing to stop it for a few rounds for pride, I guess. But he showed tremendous heart and grit. Got to give it to him. But man, that fight was over. The reason why I bring this up, guys, is because, yes, that was a rivalry, but it was more of a rivalry among the fan bases and the media and stuff like that. The actual action outside of the 4 knockdowns Wilder scored in that series, because I think he had 2 in the first fight and 2 in the third fight, although one of them was a push. There was only 1 legit knockdown Wilder scored in that third fight. I don't care what anyone says. The second one was a push. Outside of that, there may have been 1 round he won with boxing. Seriously, 1 round in the entire series. So I don't put that anywhere near the same stratosphere as Canelo-Golovkin. That's what I've been trying to get to. This is the rivalry of this generation. And in fact, it's probably the rivalry of the 2000s. Because again, when I go back to the Floyd Manny era, that was the rivalry that wasn't. Because of both sides, but more so because of Floyd and Floyd's handlers. That was the rivalry that never happened, right? So we didn't get the 3-fight series between those two that we should have got. We did, and we were going to, with Canelo and Golovkin. Now, you could argue that Canelo waited Golovkin out a little bit. He didn't get an absolute prime Golovkin, sure. But Golovkin in 2017 was still the best middleweight in the world. He was. And even in 2018 was probably still the best middleweight in the world. Is he right now? I think he still is. I mean, we got to see. Charlo hasn't proved he is. Andre is ducking mandatories and moving up to 68. So you could make an argument. Golovkin is still the best middleweight in the world. And Canelo is, at least he's got all the belts. He's undisputed super middleweight champion. And he's certainly among the top 5 boxers in the world, pound for pound. Golovkin is still in the top 15 or so in the world, pound for pound, at least in the top 20. So you're still getting high-level stuff. And the 2 first fights, 24 rounds, were really close. Regardless of how you score it, and everyone's got revisionist history now with the way they're scoring it, which is really suspect. Regardless of how you scored it, these have been super competitive fights. And as good as that first fight was, the second fight heightened things. If we get a third fight that's even better, if it's on the same level as the second fight or better in terms of drama and skills and will, all of it, guys, this is the rivalry of the century, because we're only 22 years into this century. And I can't think of a 3-fight series. Correct me if I'm missing something here. A 3-fight series that took place this century, this millennium, that has been as good as this one. And I'm saying all this with the hope that we get a really great third fight. Now, if we don't, then my opinion will change, okay? But if we get a fight that is equal to that second fight or better, boom, this is it. This is absolutely it, man. All right. I just want to make sure there's a super chat real quick I want to get to. Sam with the super chat. Thank you so much. He said extremely one-sided, therefore not fight of the year for sure. Yeah, anybody calling Fury Wilder fight of the year, that's nuts. It just wasn't. There were some dramatic moments for sure. But if you watch that fight and turn off the commentary and just look at what you're seeing a guy who's ready to go from the 6th round on, and another guy who can't quite get him out of there because he's kind of sloppy and just not having his best night. That's what it was. Oh, did I miss another one? Yeah. Hang on one second, guys. Lucas Nunez with the super chat. Thank you, Lucas. He says the issue with Wilder is that he had the potential to be great if he just learned how to jab and throw a left hook, but arrogance is undefeated. Yeah, man. Look, Wilder, dynamite right hand, always in shape, tremendous will, tough as hell. But the jab that we saw from him in the first fight with Berman Stavern, I've talked about this before, but when I saw that first fight with Berman Stavern, I was like, damn, yo, Deontay Wilder, we might have something here. I was more excited and more impressed with his performance in that fight than any fight since. And I know I'm in rare company there. I'm probably the only one on earth because everyone else is more impressed with the knockouts. But knocking out B-level after C-level guy and 45-year-old men who aren't even cleared by the commission until that morning because they're on blood pressure medication, that stand right in front of you. That doesn't impress me as much as winning a fight off your jab. That impressed the hell out of me from Wilder. There was just no development from there. And the people that he had around him who actually cared about him as a human being and wanted to improve him as a fighter, Mark Breland and Lou DiBella, basically got told to go fuck themselves and got kicked out. Everyone else has been yes men in that corner ever since. So it is what it is. Okay. What else do I have here? Here's a good point. We have seen Canelo Alvarez north of 160 pounds. We know how he looks at 168 and how he fights there, how he has to fight there. We have never seen Golovkin fight north of 160. We simply do not know how he is going to look at 168. Will he look rejuvenated? Will he have more power to his punches or less power? Some guys move up in weight, and that extra meat, that extra mass, that extra muscle adds power to their punches. Some guys move up and they lose power. We won't know. How will his chin hold up there? Was it better at 160? Will it be better at 168? I know it's the same guy in Canelo Alvarez that he's fighting, but Canelo has been fighting bigger guys the last 4 years. Golovkin hasn't. So we don't know how he's going to look. That is a big X factor. And there are people out there saying, you know, they're so positive they know how he's going to look and all this. Man, that's kind of arrogant. You really don't. We won't know until we know. Here's what we do know. Since the second fight between these two in 2018, Canelo has fought 8 times. Golovkin has fought 4 times. Let's look at who they've fought. Canelo has fought Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, Callum Smith, Avni Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Dimitri Bivol. He is 7-1 with 5 knockouts. That resume, I don't, you know, there's a couple asterisks. The Kovalev fight, I put a massive asterisk next to that and stuff. But overall, that's a pretty good run. It really, really is. And, you know, 8 fights in 4 years, only 1 loss to Dimitri Bivol. There's no shame in that. Bivol is a really, really good fighter. That's a good run. Now you compare that to Golovkin, Steve Rolls, Sergey Derevyanchenko, Kamil Zermeta, Ryota Murata. Golovkin's 4-0 with 3 knockouts. He had a really tough fight against Derevyanchenko. There are people out there that will try to tell you Derevyanchenko won that fight. He didn't. Golovkin edged it. He knocked down Sergey, and he edged it. Close fight, took a lot of punishment, but he won. Still, very, very close, right? I look at these 4 fighters, and as much as I respect Derevyanchenko and Murata, these 4 fighters do not match the level of opposition that Canelo has faced. In fighting 8 times in the 4-year span versus 4 times. Also, not fighting at all last year, where Canelo, you know, Golovkin didn't fight at all. Canelo, one of the most, I think maybe the most active champion in the sport last year. How will those things affect this fight? Did Golovkin knock off enough rust against Murata? Remember, that fight was at 160. Okay, so it wasn't like he got to try out his 168 body. He had to weigh in at 160. Did he knock off enough rust to get, you know, go into this fight against Canelo charging out in the first round 100%? Or is it going to take him a few rounds to get into a rhythm? Is he going to be able to pick up right where he left off the last time he saw Canelo and made a nice little adjustment in the final few rounds of that rematch in 2018? We just don't know. Again, it's one of those things it's all conjecture. We can guess, but you're not going to know until you see it. I think we kind of know what to expect from Canelo. The X factor here, the question is, we just don't know what to expect from Golovkin. That's the big question to me. Body punching. Body punching is going to be huge in this fight. Golovkin simply hasn't done it in recent fights. He has not gone down to the body. And if Canelo's coming forward on Golovkin, he really won't need to. Golovkin didn't do it in the second fight because he kind of didn't need to, because Canelo was coming forward and kind of right in his face. So the adjustment Golovkin made was to use the jab even more than he did in the first fight. If Canelo tries to move around and stay on the outside and load up on big punches, which is the way he's been fighting since he moved up to 168, then I really do think Golovkin should invest in the body. And I'm interested to see how that works. For Canelo needs to go to the body immediately. Gennadiy Golovkin has been buzzed. I'm not buzzed, but hurt a little bit a couple times to the body in recent fights. Derevyanchenko did it. Murata did it. If those guys can bother him to the body, and I'm not saying Golovkin was hurt like he was going to go down or the fight was in danger of being over or anything, but he was visibly hurt by body punches from those guys. Now, those were fights that had a very high pace. A lot of punches were being thrown. So you're huffing and puffing, right? Your ribs are expanding and you get caught with a shot, it hurts. If you're fighting at a pace where there's only 400, 500 punches being thrown, it's much easier to take body shots. So if Canelo isn't being very active and pushing Golovkin with volume, then those body shots won't hurt as much. But if I'm Canelo, I'm going to the body early and often in this fight, and I'm going hard. One thing about body punches that I don't think a lot of people realize, they hurt more as you get older. When you are younger, you are just able to take body punches more. It's just how it works. I don't know the science behind it. I honestly don't freaking know. But it's true. Throughout boxing history, if you look at it, younger fighters take body punches better than older fighters. It is a fact. It's just part of aging. You can take it to the chin better if you've got a good chin. But to the body, for some reason, older guys just don't handle it as well. Anyway, let's talk real quick about punch volume, punch numbers. I do think it's relevant to bring this up here because there's a couple things people tend to overlook when they're looking at the first two fights. So according to CompuBox, in the first fight, Golovkin, of course, landed more jabs. 108 jabs to only 55 for Canelo. It was almost identical in the second fight. Golovkin landed 118 jabs to 59 for Canelo. The big difference was in the power punching category. In the first fight, Canelo had a slight edge, 114 to 110 in landed power punches. In the rematch, Canelo landed 143 to Triple G's 116. So both guys upped their punching volume and the punches landed, but Canelo increased significantly with power punching, particularly body punching. Canelo landed 46 body punches in the rematch to only 6 for Golovkin. So the difference in the second fight, everybody knows this, Canelo came forward. Well, what does that mean? It means he's coming forward, going to the body, throwing power punches. And Golovkin, although he threw more overall punches, it was almost all jabs. And for some reason, the judges didn't like that. The judges preferred Canelo coming forward and throwing body punches, which is the same thing Triple G did in the first fight and got ripped off. It just seems that suddenly they didn't like the jabs. In the first fight, Triple G threw 198 more punches, threw almost 200 more punches than Canelo, 703 to 505. In the rematch, Golovkin threw 257 more, 879 to 622. So that's amazing. I mean, Golovkin threw 170 more punches in that second fight, and Canelo threw about 120 more. Both threw more. The difference, once again, for Golovkin, he was throwing more jabs. For Canelo, he was throwing more power punches, particularly to the body. And I think the judges and the fans, seeing Golovkin get pushed backward, seeing him get stopped in his tracks, seeing Canelo be aggressive, that almost shocked them. They were not used to seeing that. No one's really done that with Golovkin, or they have in spots, but not for an entire fight. For my money, though, I like the adjustments Golovkin made in that rematch. I think that people don't give Golovkin enough credit for being the crafty boxer he is and being able to make adjustments like that. So anyway, I bring all that up because I'm curious what we're going to see in this third fight. Is Canelo going to press the issue again and come forward? Does Golovkin want to be the guy who's pressing the action and coming forward? Is that what he's prepared for? If that's what both guys want to do, they're going to meet right at the center of the ring and we might get a freaking slugfest. You know, if that is what happens, if both guys come out wanting to be aggressive and push forward, who's going to be the guy who makes the first adjustment? Who's going to win that battle of wills, and who's going to be the guy who makes the first adjustment? That's going to be really, really interesting to see. Let's see. Yeah. So I got that Canelo threw more power punches, Triple G threw more jabs and less power punches. Yeah, I looked at this. Golovkin actually threw less power punches overall in the rematch than he threw in the first fight. I do think that was a mistake. He's got to throw more power punches. But, I looked at punch numbers for Canelo's recent fights, and I found some interesting trends. I looked at, when he fought Plant, when Canelo fought Caleb Plant, Plant only threw 441 punches. When he fought Saunders, he threw 284. That's it. When he fought Smith, and that was a 12-round fight, Smith threw 539. So Canelo was able to keep their punch volume low. And Plant and Saunders, they never threw a lot of punches anyway, but keeping their output low helped Canelo's stamina, and it helped him wind up on shots and really put a lot into the body punches, the hooks, the uppercuts. That got results for him in those fights against bigger fighters. But when he fought Bivol threw 710 punches, and Bivol was so active, consistently active, that Canelo only threw 495. He was able to limit Canelo's offense, and it was the least amount of punches Canelo had thrown in a 12-round fight in a while. Kovalev had a lot of success against Canelo before he got knocked out. He had thrown 745 punches before getting stopped in the 11th round. Canelo had only thrown 345. So I think the secret to Canelo a lot of times is making him uncomfortable with the pace of the fight, because he does have a tendency to slow down. And what he's done against these bigger guys is not punch as much. And he winds up because he wants his punches to hurt, right? He wants his punches to have an effect. And because he's got extra bulk on him, I think he tires easier, but he does get a little more torque on his punches. He throws with a lot of speed. He really uses his hips well and turns over on his shots, particularly the looping shots over the top, the body punches. So I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that against Golovkin, though, because Golovkin's going to break all that shit up with a jab. I mentioned Canelo's fights against Bivol and Kovalev. Obviously, Bivol, beat the brakes off of Canelo, and Kovalev had a lot of success. Those guys were jabbing in between Canelo's big wind-up, hard power punches where he tries to go hard to the body and all that. That's all Golovkin's got to do, right? The only difference is Golovkin's got to mix up and get some more power punches in between those exchanges to get the judge's attention. But that's the secret, I think, is throwing off that rhythm and keeping him at the end of a jab. Also, Bivol and Kovalev are able to do that because they're a lot taller. They're a lot longer. Golovkin's not. Golovkin's not taller or longer than Canelo. They're pretty much the same size. Golovkin might be a tad taller, but not much. So anyway, just throwing all this stuff out there just to have this play in your guys' mind and see what you think. As far as I see the fight, I actually think it's going to be a really, really good one again. I think these two know each other very well. I think Golovkin is going to turn back the clock and give us a vintage Triple G performance. It's going to go 12. I think it's going to be a decision for Canelo. It would not shock me at all to see Golovkin get the decision this time, because Canelo, he is the cash cow, but he is coming off a decision loss to Bivol. Maybe going up in weight has changed him. Maybe there's some speed off his fastball, and maybe Golovkin looks rejuvenated at 168 and he turns back the clock, and he's been resting these last 4 years, hasn't been fighting as much. And maybe Canelo's worn himself out a little bit, and maybe Golovkin gets the nod. But I pretty much see this fight going the distance, and I see it being fought very, very close. And we get another decision that's going to have fans arguing. Whether fans are out there saying, man, I thought Canelo won that fight. Triple G got the decision, and I thought Canelo won. Or we get the same old story we got with the first two fights, where a lot of people thought Triple G got ripped off. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, also, real quick, guys, undercard, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 16-0, 22 years old, going up against Mexican Israel Gonzalez. This is the second defense of Bam's WBC Junior Bantamweight title. If Bam wins this fight big, and to be clear, Gonzalez, most of his fights have been in Mexico, loses whenever he steps up. He lost against Chocolatito, Khalid Yafai, Jerwin Ancajas, but he's only been stopped once. He was stopped against Ancajas, right? He goes rounds. He took Chocolatito and Yafai the distance. If Bam wins this fight big and knocks this guy out, he is right up there along with Alexander Usyk as the fighter of the year candidate, right up there at the top. And he might take it. Usyk might be the sentimental favorite, and we'll talk about that later on. But if Bam wins this fight big, he's right up there at the top. Also on this card, Ali Akhmadov, 18-1. This is his third fight back since his lone defeat, going up against Gabriel Rosado, 10 rounds, super middleweights. Man, I like Rosado. Balls of steel, fights anybody, true throwback. But going back to 2013, when he lost against Triple G, absolutely battered against Triple G in 2013. So going back a decade here, okay? Rosado is 5-10-1 in his last 16. He has won 5 of his last 16 fights. So I just, at what point does Rosado and his team decide to walk away into the sunset? The thing is, with all his experience, this is kind of a step back up for Akhmadov, right? He had that one loss. They've gotten him a couple W's, Now he's going to try to get in there against an experienced veteran guy, and they're trying to see where he's at. That's what's up with this matchup. All right, that's why they're matching this thing. So hopefully we don't see Rosado get really, really hurt, because the dude is just taking a lot of punishment. Okay, let's check some super chats. Some of you guys are talking about the height difference between Golovkin and Canelo. I know, listen, Golovkin's a little, I've met both these guys in person several times. Golovkin is a little bit taller. Canelo has a wider base and is a solid, stocky dude. It's not like Golovkin's a lot bigger. Also, Canelo's been fighting at 168 and 175 against much larger men. Golovkin hasn't. Size won't be a factor in this matchup. It wasn't in the first two. It won't be here. Super chat from Israel Kano Jr. Thank you so much, Israel. He says, I've got Triple G by decision. Let's go Triple G. Even though it's Vegas and the judges there are shady. Hey, man, again, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if this time, I'm trying to think of an example I could give you guys. When De La Hoya fought Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya fought Shane Mosley, there was a couple decisions, and fans thought it went one way. And fans thought one guy won, and then the next one they thought another guy won. So it's like the robbery went both ways in the eyes of a lot of fans during that rivalry. So maybe that's what we get here. Maybe it's a really close fight. Triple G gets the nod this time, and Canelo fans are screaming foul, right, which will be kind of funny, kind of ironic. But if you go with the history of Nevada and the history of these two fighters and the history of boxing, a really close round, probably going to go Canelo's way, right? Which means in the end, if you have a fight that's really close with a lot of swing rounds, Canelo's probably going to edge it. That's just probably what's going to happen. Another super chat from Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. Said Triple G afraid to go to the body. Canelo counters uppercut. Yeah, Canelo makes it very difficult to go to the body. Makes it very, very difficult to go to the body. You can get him, though. It's all about positioning, and you can get the right body shot off if you position yourself off to the side and you time it the right way. And I think it would behoove Triple G to at least try a few times to land a couple of hard body shots like that early on, if he could position himself the right way. But yeah, standing right in front of him, ducking down, throwing a body shot, probably not going to end well for Triple G. He's going to get countered. Okay, I think we're caught up on super chats. All right. Nacho says, Bam is going to rule 115 once Estrada and Chocolatito are gone. I completely agree with you. I think from next year going forward, 2023 is going to take over that division. All right, guys, we've got a ton of calls lined up, and several of them are from overseas. So when I say let's keep it quick, some of you guys have been on hold for an hour. Let's try to keep it quick. All right. For real. Just get right to it. Boom, bam, bam. I need fast combinations. Okay. Let's bring Jack on the line here. I know he's excited. He's going to Vegas with his pops to check this fight out. Jack, what's up, man? You're on the show.
Yes, sir. If you guys haven't seen, Mike and I did a prediction yesterday on my channel. It was really great, and I talked about it, but I've been thinking more and more about it, and yes, I'm going to Vegas. I'm so excited. And I just want to say a quick misconception with people. So guys like Aaron are saying, well, I'm sad for Triple G. I'm a Triple G fan, but, he's going to get stopped. Okay, bro. So let me ask you something. Canelo's opposition, there's always been something off about them. Like, let me tell you what I mean. Rocky Fielding, and this is after Golovkin. Rocky Fielding, that's Daniel Jacobs, not as focused, and they weight drained him without a rematch clause. Sergey Kovalev, do I have to talk even more? Callum Smith, weight drained. Avni Yildirim, mandatory. Billy Joe Saunders, not focused, and a punch from the god fractured his orbital bone. Caleb Plant, has bad conditioning, but is a pretty good boxer. Canelo was getting out boxed once the fight and knocked him out. Then Bivol, nothing wrong, and guess what? Guess what happened? What happened when he fought Bivol, Mike?
He was dominated.
Yeah, exactly. Canelo got dominated. Michael Montero, just check out my channel. But the guys that Golovkin has fought, if we're excluding Bivol, I think a prime Derevyanchenko is better than anyone that Canelo has beat. I'm serious.
Yeah, I probably would give you that.
What do you think about that?
Let me look here on this list. Yeah, I mean, now I think Kovalev at his prime was better than Derevyanchenko, but obviously Canelo didn't fight a prime Kovalev. But yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Actually, Jacobs was probably better than Derevyanchenko too at his best. But again, it's all about timing. It's all about timing.
Fight. Yeah, it's all about timing. So I think Derevyanchenko is better than anyone Canelo beat. So I really think this is going to be super entertaining. I think it's going to be just such a fun fight. That's why I'm so hyped. Like, what are the chances you think I can get pictures with like 3 or 4 fighters? Because, dude, I want to have a ton of fun there.
There's going to be a lot of fighters around. I would go to the weigh-in, dude. That's where you're going to see a lot of fighters. Go to the weigh-in. Saturday is going to be a lot tougher because they're going to be doing media stuff Saturday. But if you go to the weigh-in and hang out, that's where you'll meet fighters.
Okay, got it. And so, guys, I think that I think it's going to be a fun fight, really fun. But Canelo is just thinking he's going to walk over Golovkin to focus on golf, and I think this is a perfect moment for Triple G. He's just always been the better fighter. And I've been saying I think he knocks Canelo out in the 12th round. But the thing is, he has to go to the body. The thing about Golovkin is these Eastern Europeans have this mindset of I don't need to knock this guy out. I got to win. That's what Bivol does. Golovkin says I don't need to knock guys out. I got to win. I don't need to knock guys out. I can win without, knocking them out. And same thing with Vladimir Klitschko did. And Golovkin said that, but he's such an offensive machine that he's able to knock so many guys out. He's going to hit Canelo a lot. He is. Golovkin's going to hit Canelo a lot. And Canelo, anybody can be knocked down with a punch. It's going to be hard to knock down Canelo. Oh, Gail Falcons also is weighing it outside. It'll be brutally hot. You actually go to the public final news conference.
Yeah, if you're there for the presser.
Thursday, 1 p.m.
When are you going?
I won't be there for the presser.
Oh, okay.
Going Friday, leaving Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll be there for the weigh-in.
Okay.
Yeah, but I already covered most of this on my channel, but Triple G's gonna, I can talk all I want, but you're just gonna have to see it for yourself. I find Mike interesting. He says Canelo robbery. Do you think this is gonna look like the second fight or first fight? Or do you think what do you think's gonna happen in the fight? 7-5 Golovkin?
I think it's gonna be another 7-round to 5-round kind of a fight. Yeah, that's just what I see. No knockdowns. Both guys get hurt. Both guys grit it out. Some ebb and flow. 7-5, and fans will be bitching on social media about who they think got the 7 rounds.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be tough. But I already talked with you for so long on my channel, so I'm gonna let the other callers talk. But dude, I'm so fucking hyped for this. I'm so hyped. Okay,
you'll have to give us a full report next week, man. You have to give us a full report next week.
Dude, absolutely. I'll take a shit ton of pictures. But
cool.
Hell yeah, guys. Curious to hear what the other callers say. Peace out, bro.
All right, thanks a lot, Jack. Yeah, Jack was telling me that he's never been to Vegas for a fight. So him and his dad are going, and that's going to be special, man. I think having that first big fight experience in Vegas and being able to share it with your dad, like that's going to be super cool. I hope they have a great time, man. Let's see, super chat from Dr. Repper. Thank you so much. He said, killer for me is head movement. That's a good point, dude. I didn't even bring it up. He said, Canelo is too hard to hit and makes guys gun shy. Triple G can't press the pace like Bivol. Far lower volume. Good point, dude. The only thing I will say is Triple G is very, very good at timing the jab and shooting it to the chest, shooting it to the shoulder when he has to. I think that's what he'll do against Canelo. And also he'll use it to push off or post up, as my coach says. When you jab on someone and you kind of get on their shoulder and move their shoulder and you kind of move them where you want them, and that's where you get the power shot off. And it's like I said before about going to the body. If you can position yourself where you can't be countered with an uppercut, you get off completely to the side where your guy's shoulder, like your chin is at their shoulder, and you just hook right to the gut. You kind of go up 45, and then you're off where they can't counter. You can spin out. You can also use, let's say you're on, Triple G gets on Canelo's right side, right? And Canelo's right shoulder is right here where Triple G's chin is. If Triple G gives a 45 right to the gut and then uses his left hand to post up on him and push off on the shoulder and get out, there you can't be countered with an uppercut. Harder said than done, but Canelo's feet don't move nearly as good as his head. I agree with you, though, Dr. Repper. If Triple G tries to headhunt, it ain't going to work for him. I think he knows that, though. I think he knows that. Chris Singh with an amazing super chat. Thank you so much, my man. He says, Canelo coming off a loss, more aggressive Triple G by stoppage. Wow, so a few of you guys are taking Triple G, not only to win, but by stoppage. He says, happy belated birthday to your wife. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so, so much. It's an awesome super chat, man. I really appreciate it. And Sam with another super chat. Thanks again, Sam. He said, Bivol, tall and long, tight defense. Triple G, easy to hit. Jack, if you could slip into the media room, ton of fighters. Yeah, Jack, if you could get into the media room, that's what it's all about. But some of those guys will be hanging around the MGM after the presser, after the weigh-in, because they're going to be doing interviews, and you can catch them walking around. You'll see people taking pictures with them and stuff like that. The thing is, dude, you got to hang around for a while. And, that's all you can really do is just hang out. Okay, back to the phones we go. This guy's been waiting for over an hour. Okay, let's go to 732. You're on the show. What's up?
What's up, Mike? Congrats on being a father now. But
thank you.
The big thing I was talking about this fight, I was planning on going, but I saw these ticket prices. I said, because flying over from New Jersey to Vegas, I said, fuck that. And now I'm 21. I'm turning 22 in October. I want to save as much money as I can because these are so expensive. But I found out that there's a movie it's showing in a movie theater near my area. So if I can't do a fight party, that's the idea. Go to the movie theater, which that is an indictment because I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about, this fight doesn't have any buzz, right? I said, bro, it's in a damn movie theater. How many fights in this modern era, outside of Fury Wilder ones, I can't really remember any fights being in movie theaters. Now, I definitely think that Canelo has to work the body even more than before because Triple G showed those body shots from Murata hurt. And they weren't hurt. I mean, not like here's a drop because that man has will of something else. Like, I don't think I've seen will like in a very long time. But he said I'd come into the body because he knows that he's coming off a loss. His stock, Canelo's stock is a little bit lower because, people on this modern era, which I think is the biggest bullshit ever, that people write people up just for losing their top elite fighters, which I think is nonsense. That's exactly why we don't get the fight we want, because everybody's so scared of seeing the media reaction. But to look at Joshua, the UK publisher, whatever the hell, they're literally calling him trash because the first time he lost at Usyk. I mean, come on, you guys kidding me? The man has fought so many, not to veer away from the Canelo Triple G discussion, but just to show you why so many guys are afraid of fighting top-level opponents. That's why I have so much respect for Jermell Charlo versus his brother. Jermell wants to fight. Jermell, guarantee right now, if he was at 160, he would be like, fuck it, I'll go fight David Benavidez right now. He's got more balls than his brother.
Yeah.
Now I'm sorry I'm going off topic here, but I'm really ain't going off topic here. But I'm
It's
a
all
fan
good,
of both
man.
guys.
It all relates. It all relates. So I get it.
And you were talking about it on Friday. How Canelo fans and Triple G fans hate. I'm the one. I love both guys. These are the top two middleweights in the time of watch boxing. Ever since I watched boxing, Hopkins was at light heavyweight. So it's really been these two guys, Jacobs and Sergio Martinez. That just shows how bad middleweight has been. Because the middleweight now is horrible. Let's not even get started into that. But these guys have dominated the division. They gave us two great fights. They were great fights. Now I have it 1-1. That first fight, Adelaide Bird, and I mean this literally, should have been sent to prison. So how the f*** do you give it? Canelo 10 rounds. And I mean this, like, I'm a Canelo fan. I was Triple G won 116, 112. That's the fight. That's how I scored it. And then I'm also a Triple G fan, so I can say that too. 116, 112. But the second fight was razor thick. That was closer to a draw than the first one by far. Saying that one, 115, 113, I can listen to. Either side. You mean either side, you 115, 113, I'm fine with it. And that was that damn close. That's why it was amazing. And I'm hyped for this third one. Especially watching the DAZN, the making of Canelo, that doc that they did.
Hello? Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You dropped off there, man.
No, okay. I don't know. Probably walking around. I was trying to walk around and sit down. Let's say, that making it a Canelo doc got me hyped for this third fight. Like, I was like, but then it just got me hyped more thinking about it. So those two fights, I watched them recently while working out. I was watching them. Like, yeah, I can't wait for the third fight. I think both guys have a genuine rivalry. They're going to come to each other. And especially, I mean, look, everybody says Fury Wilder 3 would be, there's no point in having it, right? That was the best damn fight of the three of them.
That's a good point.
Both guys. So it could happen. Very well could. And also, your Friday show, nice. Somebody brought up NBA being, they took a week off. That's not even accurate. They're literally games on the day Kobe died. The Lakers weren't scheduled to play. They took that Tuesday game off, the Lakers and Clippers. And the Lakers played on the 31st of January because he died on the 26th. So,
okay. So people didn't know what the hell they were talking about, man.
Yeah, no, I watch basketball. Basketball's the number one sport. I'm playing it for close to more than until college. So I went to college in 2018. So I played pro until from 2006 until 2018 at least. 12 years. So I've watched the game for a long time. But the NFL didn't even stop for JFK now. I think the Lakers game did get postponed. The one that they were supposed to play the Clippers. And that one was a special case because that was in LA. So that one, the TNC, they moved it around. And then, but other than that, they don't postpone much. Which I really wish they didn't do that this card, because this card had that September 10th had nothing going on that day. Yeah. Literally nothing going on except for the UFC fight, which I did watch. That one was a crazy mess on its own. But other than that, I can't wait for this fight, and I'm probably going to drop a YouTube video on my own, analyze it. But I was debating going to Vegas, but I right now don't have that kind of money to afford plane tickets.
It's crazy right now, man.
You have to consider gambling costs because people gamble when they go to Vegas. Drinking costs is drinking expensive. You must enjoy it, and tickets and all that other stuff. You add up. First, why not just pay for the pay-per-view? For non-DAZN subscribers, $85. What the hell are they doing? I
saw that, dude. Yeah, man. The ticket prices are ridiculous. The pay-per-view price is ridiculous. I mean, that sucks.
Come on. Look, I was on board with this whole no pay-per-view. I was like, oh, let's go. I like this. Right. And then I was even fine with the big old fight being pay-per-view. Same with this one. But, don't overprice it like this. And some of it's expensive of you, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thank you for the call. Sorry if I went too long.
No, you're good, brother. Good stuff, man. Enjoy it. It's fun watching fights at the theater, man. That's always fun. If you've got a fight that's on at the theater, it's always fun time. Because everybody's there watching the fight for the same reason you are. Everyone's there just for the fight. If you go to a bar some people are there for the fight. Some people are there watching a college football game or something. Some people are there just getting drunk. You don't know. But when you're going to a theater, everyone's there to watch the fight. So it's usually a pretty fun crowd. All right, looks like we got Thad on the line. What's up, Thad? How you doing? How you betting this one, man?
Well, this isn't a classic fight you bet. A lot of these mainstream fights aren't that type of fight. So I'd be very careful where you put your money. I learned my lesson a few years ago with the first Golovkin fight. I thought it was a steal with Golovkin as a -250 favorite. As we all know, he got the draw, and I lost out of a big windfall, even though I got a push. I got my money back, but it was like, it's like in blackjack. You hit a 21 and then the dealer somehow pulls a 21.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a good fight to bet because there's so much politics, involved. And you're better off waiting for opportunities where it's a lesser fight, where you have where politics really don't get involved, or you could side with politics. Here, the lines are kind of blurred. We know that Golovkin is the establishment fighter. That'll never change. But there's a lot of things that are different than the first two fights here. And I want to ask you, what do you think Jonathan Banks brings to the table as far as what Golovkin is going to do in this fight? Do you think his strategy, it seems he wants Golovkin to use his skills more? That's what he says on paper. How do you interpret that?
I think he wants him to fight in rhythm. My thing is, I thought Golovkin showed so much skill in the first two fights. But maybe use his rhythm, jab in between Canelo's movements, just try to get Canelo's timing a bit off and frustrate him. Bivol was able to frustrate Canelo so much, and he was so visibly frustrated in that fight in the second half. If Golovkin could do that just a little bit, it'd give him the edge to take him over the top in this fight.
It would. Bivol, again, he was so much bigger and a lot younger, and he wasn't compromised. He wasn't compromised by weight or any other clause that Canelo usually had against Callum Smith, Sergey Kovalev. Those were fights where those fighters were compromised, like short camps and weight. Danny Jacobs, their fight with Canelo, which I thought Canelo was probably at his absolute peak versus Danny Jacobs. And Jacobs, he couldn't rehydrate all the way. They had a clause in, but I think Jacobs said to hell with it anyway. So he came in, pretty close to his peak. I think actually Jacobs was a little less than his peak because I think the wars with Golovkin and Derevyanchenko took its toll. So here's my take on everything. With Golovkin, I think everyone that Canelo fought outside of Bivol, Golovkin would knock out. I think he would have knocked out a weight-trained Callum Smith, definitely would have knocked out Kovalev.
Yep.
Billy Joe Saunders knocked him out. Caleb Plant, he's a big guy. I think he would have gotten the Plant. So really, has Canelo really improved? I don't think he's improved. I think Canelo peaked in the Golovkin 2 fight and the Jacobs fight. Golovkin is older. We all know that. A lot of things happen when you're older. You're less free testosterone, less elasticity, less collagen in your collagen in your cartilage, which is why older men don't take body shots well. Okay, you have less collagen in your connective tissues. Your recovery time is less. And I think that's where it leads me to pick this fight. I think Golovkin is going to be winning. I think Golovkin is going to have his moments, but late, I see some Canelo body shots that are going to bother Golovkin. Perhaps even Andre Ward Kovalev 2 fight where Canelo strays low. And who is the referee for this fight?
I can't remember. I know the judges have been announced, but okay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're the same judges. We all know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But I think that this is going to be a controversial stoppage. I think that the referee is going to jump in, and once Golovkin is showing any signs of fatigue, and with the body shots, I think Canelo is going to go low, And I think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt by the officials. And I think Golovkin, again, he's going to be winning the fight. And I see a controversial stoppage.
Interesting. I
don't know why. I just have a hard time seeing this fight go the distance this time. And in all trilogies, I think the Mike McCallum and James Toney trilogy is probably the most relevant here, because McCallum was 35 when he fought Toney, who was like 24, coming into his prime. They were both guys kind of like two ships passing each other in the ocean. And McCallum was right at the end of his peak, and that fight was a draw. And a year later they fought. It was a close fight, but Toney edged it, younger guy. And 8 years later, I think, or 6 years later, they fought the trilogy, which was meaningless at the time. But McCallum lost the decision, but he didn't get knocked out. And McCallum was a class fighter, an all-time great, same as Golovkin. I don't see Golovkin getting stopped by his own device. I think there's going to be some controversy thrown in here to get Canelo this win. Boxing needs him as a cash cow, the same old, and Golovkin rides off into the sunset with a Vladimir Klitschko type of ending, where he lost the fight, but he won the war against Anthony Joshua, if that makes any sense. Okay. So that's why I'm not going to bet this fight. There's just too much that can go wrong in a fight in Vegas of this magnitude.
Well, speaking of that,
that's my take on it.
Real quick before I let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on something. Jim Carras, who's a gambling guy that I follow on Twitter, he tweeted this earlier today. He said the live traders at the sports books thought Golovkin won both Canelo fights. In the first fight, Golovkin got to minus 2,000 in the 10th round before closing at minus 400. The second fight, Triple G, was minus 900 entering the 12th, closed at minus 350. What does that mean? I mean, basically, the people betting live thought he was winning, right?
Right, and that's something I value is in-round betting, live betting, and I tried to give you an update on that when Usyk fought AJ the second time. I was giving you the updates on how the casinos were giving live round odds. Okay, I think there's a lot of value there. Now, in the Usyk fight against AJ, Usyk was at his biggest favorite at the end of the 6th round, I believe. He was minus 600. And then by the 12th round, he was only about minus 150. So it was a close fight going into the scorecards. So they knew that the fight was going to be very close. How they know this, I have no idea. They probably are clued in, wink, wink. But in round judging, it does take into effect people that are watching the fight, like from the brains behind the sports books. They're giving their take on who's winning the fight, and then the action coming in, meaning the people are betting live. They factor all that in together, and that's how they get those lines. Okay. There could be like some wink action going on where they are in league with how the scorecards are. So all that has to be taken into account. But I think that goes to show you that Golovkin was winning those first two fights, which I thought. The first fight, absolutely. Second fight, I think he edged it. Or at least it was a draw. So Golovkin's the better fighter. Okay, even at age 40, I think they're very similar. Okay, but again, he's younger. He's 10 years younger. That just, and plus he's the money guy. They're going to want to make it. They're going to want to get him this win. Okay, it behooves them not to.
Yeah.
So that unfortunately, that's why I'm not going to bet the fight, because I know I'm going to end up being upset at the end. Okay, seeing Golovkin get ripped off again. I think it's going to be like an Andre Ward type win where he strays low and the referee just concedes and they count Golovkin. I think they stop it prematurely and they get Canelo a win that way. That's how I would bet any proposition in this. I would say a late stoppage. So either way, actually, because Golovkin could not conceivably knock Canelo out, because Canelo, he's been dented. And I mean that with the Bivol fight, he's taken some punishment. He's fought more, and I think sometimes fighting more isn't always the best.
Right.
So he's got a lot of wear on him. So I'll leave you with that, Mike, and it'd be great to hear the rest of the callers. Hopefully, you have a show Friday.
All right. Thanks a lot, Thad.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. As far as Friday goes, I don't know if I'll have a show or not. If I do, It'll be from my hotel in Detroit, and I won't be able to take calls, but I'll be live, and I'll just be talking into my phone. So I think I did that when I was in Chicago recently, right? So I might do that depending on what's going on when I'm up in Detroit. Okay, let's keep it going, guys. How are we doing on time? All right, we got about half an hour left, so let's see how many calls we can get through. 203. I think this is Anthony Santiago. You're on the show. What's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
Chilling, man.
Yeah, so I got I'm hyped. I'll be in Vegas as well. I got my flight in my hotel. I just need to get my ticket. Jim Boone is hooking me up. He told me to give him a call this Thursday. I mean, I'm looking at the prices now, and they're starting to come down a bit for certain sections, like section 16, 15 was around 2,500 2 days ago, and now it's 2,000. So you can see like the prices are starting to come down. So hoping to get a pretty sweet deal this Thursday for that.
Yeah, Jim knows what he's doing, bro. So just
prediction.
trust him. Trust him because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's easy because if he really wanted to, he could tell me could have sold me a ticket when I asked him like 2 months ago and just got me.
It made more money. Yeah, so I tell you, Jim's a good guy, man. Yeah, because I can't tell you how many people I've talked to. They're like, dude, I got like half off. He could have sold me this ticket for like 2,000 more a month ago and made more money. And I'm like, yeah, he ain't doing it just for the money. You know, he loves boxing. And he loves hooking people up because he wants you to repeat business, bro. So yeah, he'll take care of you.
Yeah, that's awesome. But as far as the fight goes, actually, I'll just real quick on the all-female fight. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I didn't realize that the queen was that important there, that they had canceled sports.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
hey,
really.
I guess it is a big deal.
Everything shuts
That's
down,
maybe
bro.
my ignorant American mind.
Yeah.
But when that card does happen, I guess was it the 10th? What's crazy is I'm probably gonna watch that, and I know like they're at different times, but I don't know if I could watch. I don't know. You probably have to pay me a lot of money to watch Kambosos Haney again, so
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna watch the female fight, and that's it.
I hear you.
That day. All right, for the Triple G Canelo fight, so I think Dad made a great point in that he mentioned Canelo hasn't gotten better. And I remember when the Bivol fight happened, I called and I said the same thing. Like, he hasn't improved at all since the second G fight. And I think, he's in the 60s, I think, when it comes to professional fights. So you can tell, like, he's starting to wear down a bit. He's playing golf all the time. He's had a knee brace a couple of times during fights. So I think the only thing that matters for this fight is how much has Triple G aged since the second fight.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it that, like, the Murata, I saw more ring rust than him actually fading or becoming an older fighter.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you because
I think it's going to be another great fight.
If he was old, he would have faded in that fight. He got stronger as the fight went on. So I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I will say, if there's one thing I took away from that fight with Murata is what in the first two fights, Triple G was more of a 1-2 puncher. He didn't really throw that many combos. But I've noticed with Jonathan Banks that he's trying to implement more of like 3 to 4 punch combinations with Triple G's attack. And I think that's one wrinkle that I think will be pretty good to bring in for this fight. I mean, when Bivol was throwing 3 to 4 punch combos after stopping Canelo's attack. So I think if Triple G can implement some more combinations, it'll be huge for this fight.
Agreed, brother.
I don't know what you think there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And now it's making me think back to I think the last call at that he asked about Jonathan Banks, what he meant by Triple G using his skills. I think that's what he's alluding to is throw combinations and don't just get into a brawl where you're taking big punches and showing you got a good chin. Don't just stay in the pocket and brawl with this dude. Box a little bit, but throw those combinations, like you said, 3s and 4s to break up Canelo's rhythm. And if he does that, he can really have success.
Yeah, but I'll leave it there. I think Triple G is gonna win. I mean, obviously, who knows? Like with the judging, and they have the same damn judges, which really pisses me off.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll be there in Vegas. So if anyone else is going, probably not because it's so damn overpriced. But,
Jack's going, so hit up
Triple
Jack.
G's gonna win. Yeah, I'll hit up Jack. I don't know. I might be doing some plus 21 thing. So I don't know. I'll hit him up.
Have fun, brother.
But yeah, but I think Triple G is gonna win a split decision this time, and he'll finally get some justice after the first 2 fights.
All right, you're on the record. Enjoy it, man. Let us know how it goes.
There, yep, take it easy.
All right, man. All right, we got a couple of super chats from Sam here. Thanks again, Sam. He says Triple G's main advantage was blocking the body shots after the 6th round. I think you're talking about the rematch. And he adds, Triple G, unlike Kovalev, will fight dirty in return. That's a great point, too. Triple G is not afraid to mix it up and get a little nasty if he has to. So if Canelo, to Thad's point, if Canelo does go low, Golovkin will go low right back. He absolutely will. That is an outstanding point, Sam. Gail says, I'll be in Vegas. Look for the redhead. Yeah, guys, if you see Gail there, make sure you say hi because she knows her boxing, and you'll be able to talk trash with her. She can keep up with the guys, with the best of them. Michael Mendiola makes a great point here. He says, let's not forget Triple G had to adjust to the time difference in Japan. That is true. You won't have that issue here. All right, back to the phones. We're going to go to New York City. Go to 929. What's up? You're on the show.
Oh, hey, Mike. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on, brother. What's up?
Oh, yeah, man. What's up, man? I just wanted to, first of all, point out to all the naysayers that have been talking about this fight as if it has no buzz. This past Friday, news broke about the all-female card that I was anticipating. There was a lot of buzz on that. That's all everybody was talking about, and I thought that was great success, but it's very unfortunate that we had to, reschedule that like 35 days, which is excessive. Mm-hmm. But going back to this fight, this fight has been on the back burner for DAZN since 2019, and unfortunately, they have to deal with Canelo's, willingness to go up to other platforms, to go to other weight classes, and had to put this fight in the kibosh for the moment, right? But you touched on something that I felt like was really lacking in boxing, and that is the rivalries. Like, for instance, yeah, we could have had another fight between Manny and Pacquiao, but it was just too much. I just think two sides wanted too much for that to happen. Right. We had a 9-year gap between Robin Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada. Hopefully, we get a third fight this year before the year rounds up. We didn't get to have a brother match between this guy. What's the guy? I'm blacking out. I almost have it. Leo Santa Cruz and Carl Frampton. We didn't get the brother match after a fucking.
That's 100% on Santa fight. Cruz. That's 100% on Santa Cruz and Al Heyman. 100% on them.
Exactly. And it's just what this is. It's just the politics stretches out the scheduling of the fights and until people lose interest in it and people have other conflict of interest. And so I'm just glad that they're able to get this fight made. Better late than never. But I asked these people, the naysayers, it's like, your favorite fighter, right? What fight do they have coming up that's giving them, the chills? They can't think of anything because up around 160 and 168, you got a lot of people that are sitting on their hands waiting for Canelo to give them that payday instead of just fighting each other to build up the marquee value ahead of a Canelo fight. So I hate to be the that guy, but I'm actually excited for this one. Now the fight week is coming around. I have for those that are actually have an issue with the price tag or the pay-per-view. So there's this content provider for movie theaters called Fathom Events, and they're selling tickets to the fight at basically an IMAX price of like $26 for adults. So that's a lot. Like that's like a $60 value in terms of pay-per-view, what they normally pay for. And that's less than a movie theater, and then going to a ticket to see them fight. Which I saw the first two fights in the movies, and I gotta say it's a great experience.
Yeah,
you know, for that kind of money, it's value for dollar. So I recommend doing that.
Absolutely, man. I just Googled the site and I pulled it up. So all you guys watching right here, check it out. Just Google Fathom Events Canelo-GGG, and you could go in there and you could search by your zip code, and you could see what's around, what theaters around are showing it. But I completely agree, dog. If you could pay $25 or whatever it is and go watch at the theater with a bunch of other fight fans, and you could go in there and have a beer or whatever and chill and watch it at the theater on the big screen, that shit is fun. And it's better than buying the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
go do
man.
that. Go do
Make
that.
your own food, great BYOB, you know what I mean, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, but I just want to break down the fight real quick. I mean, listen, I'm not in myself as a Triple G supporter, but realistically, I don't see how he wins this one. Any vision of him pulling a Marquez against Canelo, against these corrupt judges, which has been the through line for this rivalry, it just seems impossible to me. But you never know. But I got Canelo stopping him late because I think he pretty much the book is pretty much out there to beat Triple G's. You got to beat him to the body. I don't think he can break down his chin. He's iron jawed. So, you know, he's pretty much weak to the body. And it's like a guy that old is very hard for him to really sustain that kind of attack.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you, man. That's how a lot of people see it. That's how a lot of people are seeing it.
Yeah. I just hope that Golovkin makes it competitive, you know, really gives him a real tough fight, you know. But I just want to see, you know, this thing, you know, wrap up, you know. And that's what we need in boxing. Much needed is a rivalries, man.
Absolutely, man. Completely.
So that's all I got, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Great call.
All right, man. Peace, man.
Peace. Yeah, guys, check out Fathom Events. I'll go ahead and give these guys a free promotion. Check them out and search by zip code, and you can figure out where it's showing, where this fight's showing in your area. But yeah, if you can spend, again, $20-25, whatever it is, go check out the fight, man. Sometimes that's just better. Because man, $85. If you're a subscriber to the zone, then I guess it's what, 60. Okay, maybe you want to do that, be at home, especially if you can have friends over and stuff. But if you just got like a small crew, if it's just you and your wife, or you and your girlfriend, you and your brother, your sister, whatever, something like that, or just you and a couple friends, it might be better to go to the theater. I don't know, because then after that, you can go hit the club. You know what I'm saying? You're already out, and you can make a night of it. So, by the way, my wife Tiffany in the chat, she says, Baby Montero predicts Triple G is going to get robbed a third and final time. Damn. We'll see, baby. We shall see. It's going to be fun, though, because we're going to be watching that from Detroit with the Cronk Boxing crew. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I saw one of you guys here in the chat. Was that you, OJ? Yeah, you were saying that it's $20 at the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak. That's cool, man. See, there you go. Shit, maybe we should do that. I don't know. We're going to be in Westland, though. I don't know if I want to go to Royal Oak from Westland. But OJ, if you want to meet up, man, let me know. Comment on this video, something like that. Let's do a meetup Friday night somewhere downtown, maybe. Okay, a couple more super chats. Losing my voice. Sam, thank you so much again for the super chat. It says people listen to the TV scoring and bet that way. Yeah, and sometimes that's the worst way to do it, but you're right. People will listen like to the commentary. They'll look at like Larry Hazard's scorecard on a PBC event and stuff, and they'll bet that way. And it's like, dude, you gotta look at what you're seeing. Sam again, he says, Jim, not for the money, yet still printing money. Of course, he's running a business, but he's not in it for the money. Trust me, I know a lot of guys that Jim Boone is taking care of. Michael Mendiola says, $24 at the AMC here in my city. To me, that's a great value. That's a great value here. Komikozai, I think is what you're trying to say. Komikozai. Hey, Mike, I'm not sure if you posted your prediction. So I like Canelo decision. That's my prediction. I talked about it earlier, but Canelo decision. And I do think, I hope we don't have fuckery. I just hope we get a great fight. We don't have any fuckery. But, you never know. Golovkin can turn back the clock and give this all-time great classic performance. We'll see. Eric Gomez, $18 at my local theater. That's awesome. Nacho says $20 at my theater. That's awesome. Israel says $21 at my local Cinemark. So look, if there's no buzz for this fight and no one's talking about it, why are these theaters showing it? Obviously, they know something other people don't. I'll tell you where the fight is lacking buzz. It's lacking buzz in the mainstream American media compared to the buzz that the first two fights got. The first two fights were on HBO. HBO is part of that machine. This fight is on DAZN, which is more of a global platform. And obviously it's an app. So it is an application-based platform with the way that they market, the way they advertise. So you're more likely to see ads on Twitter, on YouTube, on your Instagram, TikTok, all that shit, than you are to see CNN talking about it or something, right? They have no fucking idea it's even happening. So that's the difference. But globally, if I looked at Google Trends today, globally this fight's trending, and internationally it's going to do massive numbers. Maybe not as big as the other two, but actually in the end, depending on the kind of fight we get, the residual playback and everything else, it might do more globally. It really might. All right, back to the phones. We got about 17 minutes, guys. So let's get to it, man. 719, you're on the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? My name is Miguel from Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs checking in. What's up, Miguel?
Yep. Hey, been a fan of the show. I used to read Dougie's Monday Mailbag all the time, so that's kind of awesome. How I heard about you.
Okay.
But right on. So also, I'm a big boxing fan. I grew up in the 80s. Also, I'm just calling, I guess, to kind of get my take on the Triple G and Canelo fight.
Okay.
I think that mentally, it's kind of hard to tell. I think that Canelo's kind of, he seems kind of salty about the whole deal. Maybe he's kind of, coming out that loss. He's maybe not there mentally. Triple G seems really calm to me, and I don't know. I think that plays a lot into the fight. There's a mental aspect of it. So as far as like everything else, I don't. The judges are on Canelo's side, so it's really hard to say that Triple G can win by decision. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I just.
Are you buying the pay-per-view, or are you going to a theater? Like, how are you watching it? Oh shit, he dropped. Oh man, Miguel, call back. Miguel dropped. Ah man, phone connection issues. Don't you love technology? Mike Lawson in the chat says $22 at AMC in Danbury, Connecticut. Wow, Danbury checking in. Mike, do you know AJ Galante? You know the Galante family? AJ's my dude, man. I meant to try to stop there in Danbury when we were up in New England recently, but we just did not have the time. But I definitely want to get up there and check out AJ's gym and those guys. I know he's got some events coming up and stuff, but I don't know if you know the crew over there. But yeah, $22 AMC. Go to the theater, man. Go to the theater. It'll be fun. All right, let's go over to the UK. Let's get a UK call in here. UK caller 741. You are on the show. What's up?
Hi there. Big fan of the show. I want to ask you, do you think Bivol is technically better than Golovkin? And the reason why I ask that is because I just feel from my point of view, when I saw the Canelo Bivol fight back in May, Bivol, he's got better footwork than Golovkin, so he has better control of the distance. He's got faster hands, and to like follow up on one of the other callers, he throws his punches in bunches. So with Golovkin, how he throws sort of 1, 2, and then goes back to 1. So 1 or 1 and 2. Bivol will throw like 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes he'll follow that up with like 5, 6, 7. And because Canelo, with how defensively astute he is, you can't slip all of those punches. An example of this, I think in round 5 or 6, is when I think when Bivol got Canelo to the rope, he threw like a 7-8 punch combination. I can't remember the exact count. But in that combination, he threw 4 right hands. The first 2 right hands were blocked on Canelo's glove. But the last 2 right hands actually got through and were scoring blows. And you think Golovkin, even at that age of 40, can employ that same combination punches tactic?
Yeah, as you mentioned, he's never been that kind of a puncher. He just doesn't throw in combination. Bivol, there's a fluidity about him, and he's much lighter on his feet than Golovkin. He kind of jousts. He gets in and out very well, and he lets his hands go very rapidly. And it was those 7-8 punch combinations that really, really put some wear and tear on Canelo. And I think Bivol wasn't trying to knock him out with those punches. He was just trying to touch him. And as the bigger guy, that's all he kind of
I agree.
Yeah, for Golovkin, I think sometimes he winds up. He wants to land a big power punch. And maybe that's, again, what Jonathan Banks is going to try to work on is just, touching, letting your hands go, staying more on the back foot, because Triple G likes to get on the front foot and dig in with some of those shots. Stay on the back foot where you can pivot out. You can have some options. Maybe that's what they're going to work on. But, older fighters, man, generally speaking, volume goes down as you get older. That's generally what happens.
Yeah, but do you think Golovkin can even employ that sort of combination, punching sort of strategy at the age of 40, the way Bivol does so naturally? I know obviously box is more complicated than just throwing 1, 1, 2, but he is sort of Golovkin is more of a 1 or a 1-2 type of puncher, and that's it, and then he's reset.
Yeah, and just go back to the way he trained with Abel Sanchez. They used the circular pad a lot, and it was just working on heavy shots, boom, boom, just hard shots. And he got results with that. But he's never been the kind of guy that would kind of lay back and just throw combos like that. Also, he's not the bigger man necessarily like Bivol is. So he's not going to get away with it the same way.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I think Golovkin's style is to stalk and not dart in and out like Bivol is.
Fine, yeah. That leads me actually to my final question, and that's it, and I'll get out of the way. But do you think Canelo will press the action a lot more in the third fight than he did in the rematch? And the reason why I asked that is because he the way he was fighting in the rematch, he was certainly pressing the action. I thought he was certainly up in the first half of the fight in the rematch. However, in the second half, Golovkin added some serious bombs on Canelo's chin. I remember there was a big right hand in round 10, 2 big right hooks in 11, a big right uppercut, left hook in round 12. But yet Canelo was the one who still kept coming forward and pressing the action. And I think at one point in round 12, he was like tapping his gloves together, like, come on, why are you backing off now? So do you think Canelo, knowing that, he's now just going to go for it? And, because he thinks he can take Golovkin's best punching, shall we say?
Coming into that fight, Abel Sanchez talked a lot of trash to Canelo about Mexican style, quote unquote, and Canelo running and things like that. So I think Canelo really wanted to prove a point. I don't know if it's the same way in this fight, but I do know that Canelo doesn't like Golovkin and is kind of mad at some of the things Golovkin said. I think he's going to come forward. I really do, because I think he knows that if he backs up, that's going to help Golovkin. If Canelo backs up, that helps Triple G.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great call, man.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. All right, let's see. More super chat. Yes. Anthony Santiago says, great show as always. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Ant. Enjoy your trip to Vegas. Have some fun meeting up with everybody, having your above 21 activities. Hope you guys enjoy the fight, man. And then super chat from Joshua Cormier. Thank you so much, Joshua. He says, what do you think of Jonathan Banks' recent comments admitting that they can't trust the judges? I haven't heard those comments, but the thing with Jonathan, he is a super, super honest, humble guy. I really like Banks a lot. He's very laid back. I wish sometimes he'd have a little more fire, a little more Emmanuel Stewart fire in him. But he's very honest. He doesn't just say shit for the cameras. I really think he meant that if he said that. And it's probably going to play into their game plan at least a little bit. At least a little bit. I think that they got to start early. If you look at the Bivol fight, Bivol had a really good start to his fight with Canelo, and it set the tone. I think that Banks and Golovkin know they got to do that in this fight. They can't ease into it. They got to come right out and make a statement. Make Canelo play catch up. That's what Bivol did. And I understand that guys like Plant and not, I don't even think Saunders, but Kovalev, they won rounds, especially Kovalev. Plant won 1 or 2 rounds of that fight. But you can win rounds against Canelo, but if you're not making him really think and play catch up, he's fine. Bivol forced Canelo to fight a different way than he wanted to fight. He really had to catch up to Bivol. Bivol was a step ahead. Golovkin needs to do that. All right. We might be able to get to this one last call. This might be the last call. I think this is Corey Lee Boxing. 804, you're on the show. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? I didn't know if I was going to get in or not.
You barely got in, man. I'm sorry, man. I saw you in the chat before. You're like 804, the caller. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, how's everybody doing? First time calling in. I'm always going to work right at this time, so I'm on the way to work. If it's a little staticky or whatever, you guys, I apologize.
Okay.
But, man, where do I start, man? This is a trilogy, man. Wow, man. We haven't seen too many trilogies, in the past. Too many good trilogies, should I say. Like you said earlier about the, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury trilogy. That third fight was pretty much a one-way street. You know what I mean? And that one-way street was pointing straight to Tyson Fury.
Right.
And so, I just hope that this fight is a little bit more competitive. The better in me wants to see that, the odds are probably going to be good on Triple G stopping Canelo. But, a safe bet for this fight, I feel like, is, obviously Canelo Alvarez, unanimous decision. I think he can stop Triple G within, later in the fight. I think those body blows. I think he's seen something in the Ryota Mairata fight, and man, I've seen a lot of flaws in Triple G in that fight too, man. But I mean, he did come away that fight, with the win, with the knockout victory. But it was like in the 3rd or 4th round, he got hit to the body.
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes to him being weak to the body. You know what I mean? My favorite fighter in the entire world is Alexander Usyk, and I'm the first to say he's weak to the body. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Gennadiy Golovkin with age, I mean, how much more do you think Gennadiy Golovkin can physically take, you guys? He's 40 years old, okay? He's been punched in the face numerous times. I mean, he got punched in the face in the Gabriel Rosado fight probably more than Canelo got punched in the face in any of the Smith brothers fights. You know what I mean? So it's just like his how much can the body physically take? And like I like when you said earlier that Mexican style. That Mexican style can fucking hurt you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Abel Sanchez didn't talk about that. Look at the fighter that he had that has mental problems now. That has brain issues. What was Abel Sanchez's former fighter called? One of the world champions.
There's been a couple of them. Which one? You go way back, ain't you? Are you going back to Jerry McCullough?
After Jerry McCullough, but Jerry McCullough's that's a good observation as well, man.
Yeah.
Like that's what can happen to you if you throw for the fences. You know what I mean? He got caught cleanly numerous times in that fight with Gerald McCullough, and he never was the same after that. And another fight, I wasn't even talking about him, but I was talking about another guy that came out, I think came either right before or after him, around the 80s and the 90s. What was the champion's name that Abel Sanchez was, most notable to train? I can't remember his name right off the top. Damn. But anyway, I've seen one of his interviews. I know, man. I know you probably know in the back of your head, but
you talking about Terry Norris. You're talking about Terry Norris.
Terry Norris, man. Terry Norris took so much punishment in his fight, and to see him do an interview was appalling. It was appalling as a fight fan. It was appalling as, I commend you too. You fought a couple fights and stuff like that. I used to do amateur fights out here in the DMV area. And, it appalled me that, this guy got punched so many times. And you got to think as a trainer, how can your fighter conduct a life after boxing? Or do they even think about life after boxing? I mean, I don't think some trainers take that into consideration, Shout out to the Headbangers Gym and, telling Lamont Peterson, look, it's time, man. I commend that type of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that in this fight with Gennadiy Golovkin, is it going to be time? Is it going to be time that this is our last fight that we will ever see of Gennadiy Golovkin? It can be that very well that type of fight. I don't think anybody's touched on it yet, but this could be Gennadiy Golovkin's last fight that we could possibly ever see him fight in, you guys. If the damage is that bad, mind you, he's already taken punishment, like you said, in Devinchenko. A lot of people thought he was going to win that fight pretty easily. It didn't happen like that. You know what I mean? He took a lot of punishment in that fight as well. And, this is Canelo Alvarez, man. He's 32 years old. He could be in the peak performance of his career. And you got a phased veteran like Gennadiy Golovkin, I think, and they're going up in a weight too, so they're going to 168. This fight is not at 160 where Gennadiy Golovkin is champion at. So I just think that, a lot of variables are, you got to take into consideration into this fight. And, man, I just wanted to call in, man, and I'm heading to work now, man, but great show, man, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one, man. Peace
Appreciate
out.
it, man. Great call.
And you've definitely been back with another banger.
All right, man. Have a good night at work, brother. Good call, man. There it goes. Corley Box. So we got another super chat from Sam here. Says, by the way, Jim Booten is my boy. He says, people forget Bivol rope-a-dope for most of that fight with Canelo. Canelo couldn't hit him. Triple G can't do that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Bivol's length and his ability to cover up, doing that against Canelo, I don't think Golovkin can do that the same way, at least not at this age. And it's just not his style. It's just definitely not his style. So, yeah, Terry Norris was definitely the guy. Terry Norris punched like a damn mule, man. And that's what Abel does. He'll have you punching through the target for sure. But at this stage, with Golovkin, he's got to come forward against Canelo. But I agree with Banks that you got to use skills and not necessarily get into a brawl. Just use your superior skills, because I do think Golovkin's the better boxer than Canelo. All right, guys, that's 2 hours, man. We're up against it. If I could do a show Friday, I will, but we'll see. Either way, maybe I could do something Saturday night. We'll see. I don't know quite what the setup's going to be in Detroit yet. But great show tonight, guys. Thank you so much. Great calls. Have a great week. Enjoy the big fight, and then we'll chop it all up next week. Hopefully, we won't be bitching about the judges or the ref. We'll just be talking about the fighters. All right, guys. I'll see you at the fights.